Welcome back everyone to another episode here on Eat Sleep Brief, and this week we got a very interesting topic, maybe throwing you guys off by now, especially if you've checked out the thumbnail. So I know what you're thinking, right? There's a fish eviction going on. You're probably saying there's a fish that's being really mean, there's one that's really sick. Which one of those could it be? Well, the good news it's neither of those. Long story short, I have a local reefer near me that recently purchased a magnificent foxface like you're seeing here. Believe it or not, a few months back, I didn't even know this type of fish even existed. Ever since I saw it, I really wish I would have gotten one. But he pretty much told me, he said, you know what, I would have much rather went with the yellow or blacked out like I have here. So I told him, look, if you're willing to trade it, I'd be all open for it. This one's already quarantined. He's actually quarantining his right now. So I said, if you want to trade, we can trade. If not, no hard feelings. So honestly, he really hasn't even committed to doing it or not doing it at the moment. But I figured what better time to show you guys how to properly trap a fish, how to make it easier, less stressful, so you don't damage rock work, don't damage corals, or don't have to tear up your whole rockscape apart like I have done in the past. A while back, Tank Mates actually provided me with this fish trap as well as a few other prototypes. I had seen them actually quite a bit on Instagram is where I really saw them, and they actually caught my attention the first time I saw them. But this is one of those products that you don't realize that you need it till you need it. And what I mean by that, you really, it's one of those products you don't feel you're gonna have a use for till the day you're trying to catch a fish that's being a bully, that just isn't doing great, maybe that's sick inside your reef tank. That's when you really appreciate a product like this. In the past, I've been down that road. I've tried to get out bullies, I've tried to get out a sick fish, and trust me, that's where something like this really beats a net with your hand inside the fish tank for a few hours. I kid you not, on the JBJ, one time it took me, and I'm not even lying to you, it took me 2.5 to 3 hours to catch a 6-line wrasse. We're going back, so they provided me this. They said, look, try it out. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, toss it out, just let us know what you think about it. So I said, you know what? Why not put it to the test? Let's see either how good or how bad this trap is. This version here is their hydraulic version. I think they have a Bluetooth version that you control it with your phone and you're able to activate it. The other one I've seen, it's a little magnet on the back end that you pull, and this is a float ring. So the way it works, whether a magnet or the hydraulic press you see here, when I press air into this, it comes in through the line, which then breaks the suction. You can see that hose is attached to here. There's a suction cup. So when you press air, it breaks the suction, thus releasing it. The other version is essentially the same thing, just with a magnet. When you release a magnet, the float ring in your tank is attached like this. When you release it, it obviously floats up because it has a float ring on the top. Now they do make a few different variations of it. They also make a few different sizes for you guys that have smaller or bigger fish. The one I got also came with a bait pump, which is this contraption you see here. You're able to put food in it, then you push the food through here, and then it's able to be forced in through this inlet here. Now this is great because you don't need to put your hand or a syringe physically inside of here. You can kind of stay away. If you wanted to make this longer, you surely could. But it allows you not to scare the fish, while also the mechanism that makes it get triggered keeps you away from the fish to entice them to also come closer to the trap. One interesting thing, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's actually a mirror on the inside. I think that's going to be a lot more useful to tangs, even some wrasses, to entice them. So if they see their own fish, maybe they think it's another fish also going in there, so they can feel a little bit more comfortable. Aside from that, there really isn't much to it. I mean, there's a fish trap. There's only so much we can talk about. I think what's really important, not only to you guys, but to myself, because I've never even put this thing to the test, is see how easy it is to use. One of the first things with fish traps, no matter what you're doing, whether you're doing this, you're doing an acrylic box, is you almost have to put it inside the tank so the fish get accustomed to it. This, I can tell you, it may take a little bit more because this ring here is quite obvious. The fish are for sure going to see it. So I would say it's probably going to take a little bit longer than an acrylic box in my opinion, but then again, I may be wrong. The only reason I say that is it's not something you're used to seeing or the fish are used to seeing inside the aquarium. So we'll see how it does. Maybe they don't care for it, but we'll be able to see if we can catch that foxface. Now, for me personally, I'm going to put it in a high traffic area, or if not a high traffic, a place where I tend to see my fish quite often. And that's going to be this left corner here. I think a lot of it has to do with the Vasamarine auto feeder. It's here, so they tend to spend a lot of their time, at least when it comes to feeding time, they'll spend a lot of their time here. So I think if I put in this location, shut off the auto feeder for about a day, I think within the next day, we should be able to catch some fish. I figure before we demonstrate it inside the tank, it's gonna be a great idea to demonstrate it outside of the tank. One quick thing I learned when messing with it is instead of just going on and sticking it, it is gonna hold like that. What I recommend you do is prime the bulb, the hydraulic bulb itself a little bit, so hold it about halfway, stick it on the glass, and then let go. What that's gonna do, at least from what I've found testing with it outside of the tank, it tends to be a better hold. You know, it's not gonna come off very easily. And in essence, let's say a fish was in there, all we have to do with this bulb is press it, and you can see it comes right off. And I'll even demonstrate it without even holding it, so you can see that it actually works. So just imagine a little fish swimming, a fish goes inside, so as soon as we press the bulb, falls right down. Once you have it in the tank, it's not gonna fall, it's actually gonna float. That's what the float ring's for. And then of course, like I mentioned earlier, this syringe here is to put food, whether frozen, flakes. I mean, you could, one good thing actually I noticed, they actually provided you quite a big syringe, so you can even put pellets down this thing, it wouldn't have a problem. That's actually really cool. So I guess now it's let's go ahead and mount it, and shoot, for all I know, maybe we'll be able to catch a fish today. I can say with certainty the fish do know it's there. As you guys saw, it's actually really easy to attach. One thing I forgot to do is I cleaned the right side of the glass, but I didn't clean the left side. Good news is I already tested it, and I know if you don't clean your glass and there's film on it, as you see here, it actually sticks really well. Yeah, I was hoping I'd be able to hopefully start baiting them in tonight. Like I said, you can see for sure the selfin, his fins are all open, and they're all kind of on the right-hand side. Oh, look, they're coming over. The yellow eye, he's for sure investigating it. He's like, this does not look right. He's like, something doesn't look right. So that's typically to be expected. I remember even when I had the, I forget the brand, but the acrylic, I had an acrylic box. Anytime I put it in, the fish, even acrylic, they see it. They know it's not something common in the tank, so they tend to freak out. This is why I recommend if you're gonna do this, leave it there for 24, 48 hours, and just allow them to get used to it. And you'll see once they're used to it, and they notice food coming out of it, trust me, they're gonna go and get the food, no doubt about it. So we'll come back tomorrow and show you guys exactly where we're at. It's probably been about 2 hours after, and I've already put flakes in the little syringe. I didn't put a lot, but you can, they're hard to see. You're just gonna have to trust me, there's flakes in there. And you can actually see them floating within the cup. So they're starting to get a lot, they officially know that the food's coming out of there. And see, he's chasing. So they come within, like anything around this imaginary bubble, they don't come close to. But at least now they know that food's coming out of this. So I think within probably another day, I would say at least, they should hopefully get more accustomed to it. Another thing I did notice, there's a little bit too much flow. I may have to turn down the flow, because ideally what I would want is for the food itself to recirculate within the bowl. I mean, I guess I can alter the flow, but I really don't want to do that. So, I mean, more than anything, I just think they need to not be afraid of it. Once they're not afraid, it will make it a lot easier.
1 week later.
All right, so today's another day. We're going to try and catch one of the fish. Good news is, well, I don't know if it's good news, but if you guys remember the fox face, I was trying to trade with a friend. He kind of told me, never mind. He wants to keep the magnificent. I'm pretty sure he did some research and saw that it's, it's a really nice fish. So long story short, he's going to keep it, so I don't need to catch him. I guess at this point, I'm just going to try and demonstrate, since the trap's already in there and it's been in there for a few days, I'm going to really just demonstrate and try to catch whatever fish goes in there the quickest. So we'll see, whichever one shows interest first, we'll narrow in on that one, because like I said, I guess I'm not going to be trading the fox face, so we'll see which one decides to go in. From the looks of it, looks like it's going to be the selfin that's going to fall for it. As you're going to see, he comes in, I set off the trap, and he's somehow, by a miracle, able to go away. Luckily, within a few minutes, as you're going to see, I was able to try it again. He went in, I triggered it, still nothing. So I was starting to say, you know what? I'm going to do everything in my power to catch this guy. I really did. And you're going to see on the third try, exactly the third try, I was able to catch him. So of course, when the camera wasn't recording, I was able to catch him. You could see splashing quite a bit, but it does work for sure. I guess what we can do now is release him so he doesn't get crazy traumatized. I think what makes this trap so effective is that the float ring, when you release it from the glass itself, it rotates, so the opening's only on the top, and the fish always, typically speaking, want to swim down, because that's natural to them, you know. For them to get away from danger, they figure swim down, so it's very difficult for them to obviously swim the opposite direction. Obviously, it's not that they can't swim the other direction, just by nature, you know, down is away from danger, at least in their mind. It's still been probably about 4 minutes, and you can see he still thinks that down is where he wants to go. Obviously the trap there is open. There he goes. You can see naturally when you release the trap itself, the float ring is going to float to the top, and again, the only opening is towards the top, which is generally where the fish is probably not going to swim. I gotta say, this syringe, where I can put food, you can put frozen in here, you can put pellets, you can put flakes. It made it really, really easy because I didn't have to be throwing food in there with like a turkey baster or anything like that. And of course, this one is activated with the hydraulic here. So like I showed you guys at the beginning of the video, once you create the suction on the glass, to break it, you just flush water through it and it breaks the suction on the rear. So we're gonna end this video here. I gotta say, I really found this video very enjoyable. I don't know about you guys, but I really had a great time. More importantly, I think we all got to see how effective TankMate's fish trap really is. At the very least, I think you guys are able to have other options other than fish nets, acrylic box traps. Maybe this is just something that's a little bit easier, that maybe works better for you. At the very least, you just have another option or another tool to add to your arsenal. As far as for me, does the fish trap work? I mean, I think really the results speak for themselves. Originally, I'll be honest, I was a little bit skeptical of this float ring. I thought the fish would find it pretty intimidating, as it's not something that looks very natural, not something they're used to seeing. So I was a little bit skeptical. But as you guys saw, within a few days' time of leaving it in there, they acclimated to it very well. And I really liked this syringe, how you can add various different types of food. You can add frozen food, you can add pellets, you can add flakes, just anything you can think of, because it just has such a big opening. And I really love the ease of use with the hydraulic bulb that you can see here. Pretty much once you press it, it releases it, floats up to the top. So I gotta say, at least for my use and what we use it here, the testing, it for sure works. And if you're looking for something, I think it's a great option surely to consider. So we're gonna leave this video here, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, maybe you found another tool to add to your arsenal of catching fish. And like I said, it's one of those things that doesn't matter until it matters. So guys, thank you very much for watching. As always, happy reefing.